Will Stewart from OnlineChessLessons.net. I'm looking at a game from the 2005 European Team Championship between Davor Palo playing white and Csaba Balogh playing black. And so opening up b6, this is going to be the Queen's Indian. And with g3 here, white is trying to fianchetto, so black responds with bishop a6 to just go ahead and put the question to the pawn on c4 as to how white wants to defend it. So b3 is pretty mainline response, and sometimes here you even see b5 right away, although it's kind of a strange system. Bishop b4 check, pretty typical response to b3. Just the reason now, it seems kind of strange why they play the check. Well, the reason is that the bishop is not so comfortable on d2. It's usually more comfortable on b2. And so now, if white wants to reroute it to that diagonal, it's going to be exposed to the knight on e4. So just a subtle thing here, but the check definitely makes sense. So knight c3, and now e4. So white is really trying to play pretty aggressively with e4 here, and d5 is just got to be the right treatment for black, because you can't let, obviously, e5 by white is going to be some trouble for black. So d5 just makes sense because there's a little pressure here, so maybe white won't be able to castle if he plays c takes. And d5, you just got to exploit the fact that white's king is just stuck in the center. So e5, and now knight e4. So white did gain a little bit of space, but his position is not that comfortable. Bishop to d3. So again, white is trying to play very actively, and now c5. So black is playing simply logical moves, and maybe white is overestimating his position and trying to get a little bit too much out of the opening. And by leaving his king in the center, he's running a definite risk. So he plays takes, and now h4. So he really wants to, he's trying to set up, I guess, a variation of the Greek sacrifice involving bishop takes h7. So f5, just to make that clear, maybe if black tries to play a move like knight c6, this is the Greek sacrifice, more or less. And the opening of the h file, I mean, black is toast here. There's no way out. So instead of allowing that, black just played f5. So he just shut it down. And now probably white should have just castled here, but he's going to be long term, d4, and black's control of the a8 to h1 diagonal is going to be huge. So white just tried to mix things up and continue playing aggressively. Bishop e5, knight d7. I mean, not terribly impressed. And now white's position is just too loose. Bishop e2, he never castled, he never had time. And black plays very actively to exploit that. So he starts with knight e5, definitely a logical move. And now just sacrificing a piece. And this is what happens when you play around too much in the opening and you don't get your king safe. Because now white is just doomed. Black sacked a piece, clear out. It looks like he won the f2 pawn for it, but I mean, white's king has nowhere to hide. And so what are you going to do? I mean, so knight d3, a nice try, bishop, and now just very simple. A couple different things that black could play here. I mean, c4 is an option, but the direct check. And after taking d3 and a couple of exchanges, here white just resigned because he's down 2 pawns. His king is still horribly exposed in the center, and black is ready to activate his other rook, and white has no compensation. So this is a nice little miniature example of what happens when you don't protect your king and you leave it in the center. You leave yourself exposed to really simple sacrifice, knight e5. So just playing logically and safely in the opening would have enabled white to avoid all of his troubles. So this is Will Stewart from OnlineChessLessons.net, and thanks for tuning in.